Hello, and welcome to Book Chat. The focus of this episode is the romance genre. I'm quite an avid reader of romance, and so inherently I kind of know what it is, but I've never really deep dived into it. And so the inspiration behind this was again to do with the heated rivalry discourse. I've mentioned it a lot on my channel. And really, it's been fascinating to watch a romance novel escape the community into the wider world and kind of reach people who aren't familiar with the idea of romance as kind of a stylized, accepted literary practice. So, understandably, lots of different communities have been coming together, and there's been a bit of pushback, a bit of friction. And I think actually what's quite useful is to have an idea or have an discussion really about what romance is and what it means. And this is my small attempt at that. So in terms of the definition, there must be a central love story between two or more protagonists. This has to be the focus of the story. Other elements can happen, but essentially it's all about the love. Another important key factor is a happy ending or a happy for now ending. We know I'm not fans of those. But the point being, there's an optimistic ending, there's a final point, we know they're going to be happy. Can be controversial for some people. And another element is emotional growth in the protagonist. So a realization that they need to grow or change in emotional strength in such a way that they can be together. Usually a positive growth, a realization that this person makes them better. And then this, I think, is something I feel is inherent, but others might not agree, is a conflict of any kind that the couple overcome and then join together in their kind of happy ending. So those are the central elements of what we see in a romance. So I think going through the definitions, it's quite clear that there's a defined structure of a romance novel which is visible both within literature and within publishing, and that most novels will follow this format in terms of how their stories progress. So who is reading? Based on a 2017 data survey, 82% of women read romances versus 18% of men. So it does skew towards women, but that's not to say that men don't read romances as well. Then, in terms of orientation, 86% identified as heterosexual, 9% of pansexual, or 2% of gay. And that's kind of the data that we have around who's reading, who's interested. So it can be argued that the field itself or the area itself really does kind of skew towards certain demographics, but that's not to say other demographics don't read as well. It gives us an idea of who's reading romance. But how do the numbers scale when you look at the contribution of the genre to the wider literary field? £69 million worth of romance novels were sold in 2024, up from 53.2 million in 2022. And that was in the UK. And then in the US, romance novels represented 23% of sales in the US market. So that was in 2024. So we're seeing growth, we're seeing expansion. It's obviously quite a solid market. It is reaching various demographics. I think those numbers are quite healthy. So why the facts? I liked the deep dive. It was quite interesting learning this information, I think, for me as a romance reader. And I think it aids the discussion. Like, so much snobbery has come out with the heated rivalry stories coming out. I find that really disappointing. Romance has very clear structure. Like, a romance novel has recognized structure and is well defined, and that has been the case. Like, it stretches back in history from Jane Austen to now. It is a valid discipline and should be respected as such. I think the romance genre is incredibly popular and continues to grow. Obviously, people return to it. Like, it brings something to people. It's a safe space. I don't understand why we have to denigrate that. find that quite rude. And I personally feel that romance is for everyone and anyone can read it however they want to. There's so many different genres. There's so many different subgenres and types. Like, there's a space for everyone. Yes, predominantly it seems to skew towards female and straight, but that's not to say that's all there is. So I think this is kind of my way to say there's so much more to romance than people think, and it deserves respect. I think the writers deserve respect. I think the people who read it deserve respect. I think we all deserve respect. And that's it, really. Thank you for joining me on this extended chat about the romance genre and kind of going through the definitions. I personally found those numbers really interesting to hear, and it's nice to see such a vibrant, lively growth in the romance genre. I think it's a little sad that it gets short shrift. I'm obviously passionate about it. Like, I love the stories. They mean a lot for me. I've grown up with romance. It is, I wouldn't say central to my character, but it has a special place in my heart. So I'm exploring that through this. And I'd be interested to know what you think. Why does it get such a short shrift? Is it deserved? Obviously not. Thank you for taking the time again to listen, and I look forward to catching up again on another book chat. Okay, take care. Bye.